Hi, once again, everybody. Welcome to this midseason edition of Birds Weekly, presented by the Inside the Birds Network. For my friend Ray Didinger, I'm Derrick Gunn. And Ray, we have some idle time on our hands now as the Eagles enjoy this bye week to heal up and regroup for a very rigorous stretch of games that are coming up. They're sitting here at 6-2, and the catalyst for this team obviously has to be Jalen Hurts. He's completing 70% of his passes. He's got 15 touchdowns, only 1 interception. He's been sacked 25 times. Not bad, but not great. The offense overall is ranked 23rd. They're scoring 26 points a game, which is 9th best in the league. They're on a 2-game winning streak, and we've seen the passing game come alive the last couple of games, and we also saw the running game come alive the last game against the Giants. Speaking of the running game, are you convinced that the running game is back here to stay, or is it wait and see because they basically beat up a depleted Giants defense?
I'm probably more to all the stuff that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
About where they are right now. I mean, some of their league rankings are a little discouraging, I mean, to face it, for a team that's the defending world champs. But here's the thing: it's trending up.
Yeah.
You hit this point of the season, you hit midway, and the question is, you always try to take that step back and say, okay, is the needle pointing up or is the needle pointing down right now? And right now, coming off the last 2 games, a big win in Minnesota, and then a real blowout win over the Giants, you definitely have to say it's trending up. And probably the biggest area of improvement is the one you just asked me about, is the running game. I mean, this is a team that couldn't run the ball at all through 7 games and break out with 270 yards in 1 game. Now, how much of that has to do with the opponent, depleted Giant defense? Yeah, I mean, you got to think about that. I liked what I saw. I liked some of the new things that they brought back. Well, new things, but actually old things that they've now brought back to put into the running game that worked beautifully in the Giants game. And I think, again, I get the feeling needle's pointing up. It's trending in the right direction. But I want to hold off until we play the next 2 games, because the next 2 games, you got 2 really good teams, 2 NFC playoff contenders for sure, that rank number 2 and number 5 in the league in run defense. I think these next 2 games will tell you if the running game's really back. If they can, I'm not expecting them to go for 270 in Lambeau on Monday night, but if they can run the ball effectively and find some semblance of a balanced offense, that's really what I'm looking for.
I like the fact also, Ray, that they seem to be running the ball more from under center. It gives them a better option in terms of keeping the defense guessing. And I think in a lot of ways, the defense has functioned a lot more fluid when they run more snaps from under center.
No question. And you and I had talked about that in the conversation that emerged from that awful Giants loss a couple of weeks ago. And, when Lane Johnson came out and said, our offense is too predictable, he was right, and I think that one of the things they did, they took advantage of that little bit of a mini bye to do a little self-evaluation. And I think they kind of came to the same conclusion that we have to change some things in the offense because we have gotten kind of stale. And one of the things that to me was real obvious was not to abandon the shotgun, but just don't run it every play. And the fact is, when they put Hurts under center, that offense runs really well. I mean, they run the ball really well out of it. But the biggest thing is it creates a much more fluid and much more effective play action game. And I thought there are a lot of great plays coming out of the last Giants game. But one of the ones that jumped out at me when I watched the tape again was they ran a play action where Hurts fakes the handoff and throws a slant to Devontae Smith for about 26 yards. And it's one of those plays that it's just beautiful in its execution, because when you watch the all 22, you see it does exactly what play action is supposed to do. It draws up the linebackers. It opens up the middle of the field. Smitty runs a real nice slant, and Hurts hits him on the move, and it's a big play. And that's what play action does. Mm-hmm. And I think they needed to make that change to bring that element back to the offense, to give the defense more to think about.
Yep.
And I look, will they be primarily a shotgun offense the rest of the year? Yeah, because that's what they are.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that they're kind of going back to quarterback under center, bringing in more play action stuff is healthy. And also what we saw was a return to running the perimeter stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Running the perimeters of getting, not running Saquon Barkley necessarily between the tackles, but getting them out to the edge
Mm-hmm.
with that, what you call the pin and pull, where you get that double team block on the edge, and then you bring the offside guard and tackle across to get out in front of Barkley and open up that lane for him to get into the secondary. I mean, we saw that. I mean, that was almost bread and butter for them a year ago. We hadn't seen that, but we saw it against the Giants. So seeing some of that stuff come back into the offense, to me, is very encouraging.
Hey, it's Jeff Mosher. And if you have a family and kids at home like me, you always want them to be fully protected. That's why I'm thrilled to be a Simply Safe customer. And our house is equipped with the most technologically advanced alarm system you can get. If you could actually stop someone from breaking into your home before they got inside, why wouldn't you? Traditional security systems only react after a break-in, but Simply Safe is different because it stops crimes before they happen with Active Guard outdoor protection. Their AI-powered cameras detect threats while they're still outside your home, and they alert real security agents. These agents take action while the intruder is still outside and confront the intruder to let them know they're being watched on camera and police is on the way. And that's how you stop a crime before it's committed. There's no long-term contracts or hidden fees. You can cancel anytime, and it comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee. Try it and see the difference for yourself. Do not miss out on Simply Safe's biggest sale of the year, 60% off. Our listeners get 60% off a Simply Safe home security system at simplysafe.com/bird. That's simplysafe.com/bird.
We keep talking about A.J. Brown for a variety of reasons that don't pertain to football. There seems to be mixed opinions of his value to this team. There are some people that are now saying, he's more of a liability than an asset. The way I see it is this, Ray. Does he create unnecessary attention? Sometimes, yes. But I still feel he's a valuable asset to this team. Big body, incredible catch radius, doesn't drop many passes. And I think the Eagles are just going to have to bite the bullet the rest of this season and just endure whatever he throws out there as they continue to navigate this schedule coming up, and if they want to go deep into the playoffs again.
Yeah, I know he's taking a lot of criticism to the point where people are saying the team would be better off without him. Well, I don't believe that at all.
No.
I mean, if the goal of this season is to go back to a Super Bowl and repeat as Super Bowl champs, you have a much better chance of doing that with A.J. Brown than without him. I mean, he is one of, I'll use the E word again. He is one of the elite receivers in the NFL. And there just aren't many guys that are his combination of his size and his strength playing out at that position. And he's a guy that can take over and win a game. I mean, we've seen it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the other stuff, the Monday through Friday stuff, the social media stuff, could you live without that? Yeah, probably. I could. But okay, that's part of the package. But, I think there is, you and I may have talked about this, but I think part of the problem here is that Eagles fans view the whole AJ thing through the prism of Terrell Owens.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? In part because he's such a similar kind of player.
Yeah.
But also because of the drama that seems to surround him. So I think a lot of the people are sort of passing judgment on AJ and their feelings about AJ based on how they felt about T.O. back in the day.
Yeah.
And I just think that's wrong. To me, they may be similar type players, but I think in this regard, I think they're very different cases.
Mm-hmm.
Because what was driving T.O. and what was driving T.O. was all contractual.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really where it was. Whereas this guy, it's other stuff, and so it's not, it really is kind of an apples and oranges kind of comparison. But I do think that people's memories of T.O., they're kind of bringing them into this situation where I just think they're misplaced. I look at A.J. Brown as a guy who I think knows how good he is, knows how important he is to this team in terms of the bigger picture, and just gets frustrated when he goes through periods where he doesn't feel like he's being allowed to contribute all that he can contribute. I don't regard that as selfishness. I really don't. Maybe I'm off base here, but I don't regard him as a selfish player. I think what he's kind of saying and what he's kind of putting out there is, yeah, we all want to win here, and I want to be a bigger part of that winning. I want to contribute more to getting this team back to where we want it to be, as opposed to worrying about money, worrying about his stats, or worrying about all the other stuff. That's sort of how I read it. I don't see him as the disruptive cancer that I've heard some people refer him to. Look, I don't want him going anywhere. I want him to be part of this team because there's a lot of football left to be played, Derek, and I would rather play it with him on the field than off.
That's a great analogy. Back in the day when T.O. was here for the year plus he was here, he publicly told you how he felt and basically directed a lot of his comments at Donovan McNabb and Andy Reid at times. Here with this AJ, he leaves you these cryptic messages that leave you to think about a plethora of different things of what he's talking about, but he hasn't come out and singled out anybody. And you're right. I think his message has been consistent, even though we are left scratching our heads, that he just wants to be a bigger part of the equation. The problem is you only have one football that can go around, and you've got so much talent from Devontae Smith to Saquon to Dallas Goedert to him that you can't please everybody every game. And you look at the better teams in the National Football Leagues that have a wealth of talent, and they try to equally distribute the football. And, it works for them. And so far, somehow, some way, when you look at where these Eagles are right now at 6 up and 2 down, it's worked for them. Now, obviously, he's not happy about it, but the overall equation has worked for this team.
Sure. And listen, we went through it with him last year.
Yeah.
And right around this time, it wasn't like just early in the season and, we worked it out. I mean, we were having these issues with him mid-season too. Now, when you hit the back stretch and we're heading into the playoffs, everything sort of fell into place and everybody was fine. But I mean, there was some real choppy water to navigate here, not unlike this. But they found their way and they worked it out. And in the playoffs, I mean, he made a lot of big plays and absolutely helped you win the Super Bowl. So if that's really what the end game is here for this team, and I would assume that it is, then just work it out. I mean, you did it last year. No reason why you can't do it this year.
Hey, does this offense need to incorporate Dallas Goedert more in the passing game? I mean, he's got 7 touchdown catches through 8 games. 7 TD catches is a new career high for him. He's built himself into such an established run blocker. But, man, he can beat most cover guys in one-on-one situations, and he's a very sure-handed receiver.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. But it kind of gets back to what you just said a couple moments ago. There is only one football.
Yeah.
And, you want to get AJ more involved. I agree with you there. I think you should.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. We kind of got Barkley back on track the last game, so he's got to get his touches.
Mm-hmm.
Devontae Smith is just catching everything that's thrown his way. So there's only so many of those plays. But I think that Goddard is a guy who has – boy, I am so glad that he's still on this team.
Yeah.
I remember all the conversation, and after the Super Bowl, it was like, okay, here are the guys that probably won't be back. And Goddard was in that, there were Sweat, Williams, okay, Slay, yeah, probably. But Goddard was in that conversation. in very much the same way that, yeah, he's probably gone. And, man, I was thinking, why? I mean, don't people understand what he means to this team? I mean, in the postseason last year, he led them in receptions. So, I mean, we know what he can do as a receiver. He's very sure-handed. He doesn't drop hardly anything. No. He's a real handful after the catch. I mean, he's very hard to bring down. And he's developed into a real solid blocker. So, I mean, I know the injury factor. I know that he misses games. I know there's some frustration in that. But, man, when he's on the field, he's a difference maker. And this the 7 touchdowns, I mean, you put him up there with the best. And people always talk about all the other tight ends, the Kelceys, the Kittles, and all those guys. And they're really good. Yeah. But, I mean, I think Goddard is in that same group of guys. I mean, they run some RPO stuff and some play action stuff with Goddard where, I mean, to me, they're almost automatic plays because he's open and he catches the ball, like that little RPO play for his last touchdown catch where he is like wide open. When you go back and watch that play, it's such a beautifully designed play because they put the defender in an absolute island there. You got Hurts has got the ball, and the defender you can see is now caught in between. Do I come up and I take Hurts? Do I play the run, or do I run with Goddard? And Hurts just plays it exactly right, holds the ball until the defender commits and starts to come up to make the play against the run, and he just dumps the ball over his head, and Goddard walks into the end zone. I mean, those are the kind of plays that he's really good at, and those are the kind of plays you're going to need the rest of the season.
Now, we've known for a long time that this Eagles team needs help at the cornerback position, and, of course, Howie Roseman can't sit still. He makes a trade for Michael Carter. Kind of a perplexing move because basically Carter is a nickelback. Right. So what do you do with him when he comes in here? Are you going to move him to the outside? Is Cooper DeJean going to the outside? Because I believe Cooper can handle the outside, but he's already accomplished as a slot corner. I just didn't understand the move. And then you got Ja'Cory Bennett eventually coming off IR with that pec injury, I believe. So what do you do with a Michael Carter?
I guess that's for the coaches to figure out. I was asking the same questions, and they made the move because Carter, since he's been in the NFL, has only been a slot defender.
Yeah.
If you go back to his college tape, he played both. In college, yes, he played slot, but he also played outside. But since he's come to the NFL, he's only been a slot defender. It's not like he's never played out there. He has, but not at the NFL. So what was your thinking? What is the overall plan here? Because they must have one. I thought that Vic Fangio, who's that rare coach who, when he speaks, you get the feeling he's telling you the truth.
Yeah.
There aren't a whole lot of coaches you feel that way about, but I feel that way with Vic. And when he was asked that question this week, his response was basically what he was basically saying in so many words was, look, I like Cooper right where he is, and his argument was a good sound one. He said, look, he is a really good slot defender. He plays that position extremely well because he can cover. We've seen that. But he's also very physical and very good against the run, playing up near the line of scrimmage. And you need that guy to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And he's that rare kind of nickel guy or slot guy who can both be effective in pass defense and play in the run. So what Vic said is, look, he's really good at this. And it's always been my philosophy, speaking as Vic, it's always been my philosophy that if you have a guy who's really, really good at playing something, I don't want to take him away from that and ask him to do something else. If I know he can really play, I would rather leave him there. That is clearly his preference, is to leave Cooper DeJean right where he is, because I understand it. He's really good in that spot. You bring Carter in, I don't know, maybe he's another option. You can play him on the outside and see how it looks. But I get the feeling that, I don't know exactly what Nick is thinking, but I know what Vic is thinking. Vic is thinking, no, I don't want to move DeJean out of here. Not that I don't think he can play outside, because he probably can. Right. But the fact is that's something I think, but this is what I know. And playing right where he is right now, he's helping us. So I think Carter comes in and is just one more option for the coaches to work with. But I don't think it was with the initial design of, okay, he comes in, he becomes the slot, and Cooper moves to the outside.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clear that Fangio doesn't want to move him. You know, they're going to be playing some good quarterbacks here on these next couple of weeks. I mean, Jordan Love is playing the best he's played in his whole career.
Yeah.
And the week after that, you got to play Jared Goff, who's completing 75% of his passes.
Yeah.
You know, and then you got Dak, who's the week after that. And I mean, the Cowboys got their problems, but mostly on the defensive side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Dak is having a great year. So they're coming out of this break facing 3 pretty prolific quarterbacks.
Hey, I still like a good night out, but I'm not always in the mood to drink. And that's why I looked for a great alternative, and I found one. It's called Soul's Out of Office Gummies. You get the same light, happy buzz, but you don't have the hangover. There's no sugar, and you don't get that awkward feeling the next morning. They help me unwind and ease into my evening without the alcohol or the next day fog. Soul is a wellness brand that believes feeling good should be fun and easy. Soul specializes in delicious hemp-derived THC and CBD products designed to boost your mood and help you unwind. Their best-selling out-of-office gummies were designed to provide a mild, relaxing buzz, boost your mood, and enhance your creativity and relaxation. With 5 different strengths, you can tailor the dose to fit your vibe. From a gentle 1.5 milligram microdose to their newest 15 milligram gummy for a more elevated experience. They've also got a variety of products specifically designed to help you get a better night's rest, including Soul's top selling sleep gummy, a fan favorite for deep restorative sleep. So bring on the good vibes and treat yourself to Soul today. Right now, Soul is offering our audience 30% off your entire order. So go to getsoul.com and use the code BIRDS, BIRDS. That's getsoul.com, promo code BIRDS for 30% off.
Hey, Ray, who on the defensive side needs to take their game to the next level, so to speak, the rest of the way this season? Is it a Jahad Campbell, a Jalex Hunt? Who do you think needs to elevate their game to be a difference maker on this defense even more so?
Well, to me, the most obvious one is probably Jalen Carter, because I think he's the most important player on that defense. He's the best player, and I think week in and week out he's the most important player. And he, not to say that he's played poorly to this point, that would, you know, that's not true. But has he been as good as I thought he was going to be or hoped that he would be? Probably not. You saw some signs of it over these last 2 games. He played better. But for this team, for this defense to really take over the second half of the year and shut teams down, because you're going to be playing some really good teams, it really kind of has to start with him. But I think that he's been playing through some stuff that people aren't really aware of. I think the shoulder injury earlier this year was probably worse than people realized. You know, and then he had the heel injury that didn't allow him to play at all in New York. So, you know, I think he's been playing through some stuff, but maybe he's healthier now. He's certainly playing better, and you know, they need him to be the guy that we saw last postseason.
Yep.
You know, when he saved you in that Rams game, basically stopping that Rams team on that final drive that could have ended the Eagles season. That he just took over the game and got the 2 big rushes on Matthew Stafford that stopped that drive that could have been a game winner. And then the phenomenal game that he played where he was all over Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Yeah. I mean, that's really kind of what they need him to be the second half of the year and into the postseason if they hope to repeat the championship. But on a less visible scale, the guy who I would point to would probably be Jalex Hunt, because I thought that early in the year, I thought he was pretty quiet and wasn't doing a whole lot on the defense. And the last game here against the Giants, I thought was his best game. You know, he had 1 sack, but he also had 9 hurries and seemed to be around the ball a lot. And that's the kind of play they need from him on a weekly basis if this defense is really going to become a championship defense.
Well, there's a number of teams at a log jam in the NFC with 2 losses or less. And Eagles obviously are one of them. Two of the other teams, the Rams and the Buccaneers, the Eagles have already beaten. But then you have Green Bay, you have Detroit out there as well. Are the Eagles, as we sit here right now, are they still the best team in the NFC, or are we still in a wait and see mode at this point?
I guess everybody's going to have their own opinion.
Sure.
I was looking this week at the old power rankings. Everybody does power rankings.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've seen now is that there seems to be everyone I saw this week has the Lions as the number one team in the NFC. And also I've seen the Packers up there pretty high. Nobody's really talking about the Bucs, but I think the Bucs should be in the conversation because in that division, they're going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I would probably put the Eagles right now. In fairness, I would probably have to put them behind the Lions and the Packers.
Okay.
I'd probably put them third. But I think it's wide open. I think it's wide open. The other conclusion I've really come to is, I think the NFC is a lot stronger than the AFC.
I agree.
I think we're seeing that by the week. These more NFC teams are looking better, and some of the AFC teams that you thought were going to be really good, not so much. It looks to me like the NFC is the much tougher bracket, again, the next 2 weeks, man, I think they're going to be so telling. Playing Green Bay and then having to come back here. And even though it's at home and the Eagles seem to never lose at home, you're playing on a short week because you're coming off a Monday night game. And that's going to be a physical game in Lambeau. And you're coming back home to play a really tough Lions team on a short week. Those two games are going to tell us a lot about what this team is. If the Eagles come in to take the measure of those two teams and get to 8-2, then I think if you're an Eagles fan, you can kind of look ahead of the postseason and say, okay, I think we're ready to go. But these next 2 weeks are probably going to tell us.
Hey, Philly fans, game day is stressful enough. Parking, traffic, long lines. We've all been there. But when it comes to your cannabis, Camden Apothecary makes it easy. This is the dispensary for sports fans, just minutes outside of Philly with plenty of free parking. You'll be in and out fast, no hassle, no waiting. And they don't just care about convenience. Camden Apothecary is all about the guest experience. Their staff makes sure you feel taken care of every time you walk in. Plus, they carry only the best quality cannabis at the fairest prices. So whether you're stocking up for the tailgate, the watch party, or celebrating a big win, you're getting the good stuff without overpaying. They even show love to the community with specials for fans, students, service members, and healthcare pros. Camden Apothecary, top quality cannabis, great prices, and an experience made for Philly fans 21 and up.
I was going to ask you, do you think the next 2 to 3 weeks would somewhat define what this Eagles team is? Obviously, there's still more football to play after that, but I would also include Dallas in that because they get Dallas right after Green Bay and Detroit. Now, say what you want to say about Dallas, and we can say a lot. Their defense is a sieve, but offensively, they're like number 2 in the league in scoring at almost 31 points a game. And number 2, the Eagles have to go down to Dallas to play that game where the Dallas is scoring 41 points a game at home. So that's not a gimme either with that team.
Exactly. And that's, I know what the Philly fans think of the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And listen, you've had reason to think that this year. I mean, they've had some stretches where, their defense is, there's some times that their defense is just bad. There's no other way to put it. Their defense can look horrible. And it's not just as simple as, well, they don't have Micah Parsons. The problems, he would help. But there's a lot wrong with that defense right now. But, man, when they're playing at home, they score, man. They can move that ball. And right now, the Eagles are still a team that I think you can throw the ball against. I still think they're working things out in the secondary. They still haven't found that other cornerback. And that's a scary game. I know that everybody's going to kind of think the Cowboys aren't that good because everybody wants to think that.
Right.
But the fact is, coming off the next two games, which is Green Bay and Detroit, you got to off of what figured to be two very tough, very competitive, very physical games.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to fly to Dallas and play the Cowboys, an explosive, wide open offensive team. I think that game's going to be equally challenging. And then right after them, you got the Bears.
That's right.
And, the Bears, I mean, I don't think anybody's putting them in the playoffs, but they're certainly better than they were. So that's not an easy game either. I mean, everything that we said before the season started about how tough this schedule was going to be, I think is playing out. I mean, it has been a rough stretch to get to 6-2, and it ain't going to get any easier these next 4 weeks.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see how it unfolds because there's so much balance in the NFC. And as you said, teams are knocking each other off week in and week out. So it's going to be fun to watch this stretch run. All right, that's going to wrap up this Birds Weekly midseason analysis. For my friend Ray Didinger, I'm Derrick Gunn. We'll talk to you next time. Until then, so long, everybody.